Hello, I'm here today to talk to you about business entities and the disadvantages and advantages of each one, and why you might pick one over the other. What is a business entity? Well, it's how a business is legally organized and recognized in the United States. This has implications for management, finances, liability, and so much more. The primary business entities in the United States are the sole proprietorship, the partnership, the limited liability corporation, or LLCs, S corporations, and C corporations. Now, let's get more into the detail of what those mean. Sole proprietorships are the default business entity for a single entrepreneur unless you file paperwork otherwise. Therefore, these businesses are easy to form, but income is reported on the owner's tax return, and the business's liability is the owner's liability. Partnerships are the default business entity for any business formed by two or more entrepreneurs. It is considered a separate legal entity from its owners, but it is similar to a sole proprietorship in that its taxes and liability are tied to the owners. Now, the subchapter S corporations are also known as S corps, are a form of corporation that must have less than 100 shareholders who are U.S. citizens or resident aliens. These corporations must be domestic, and they can only issue one class of stock, but they can pass the income directly to the shareholders to avoid double taxation. It can be unattractive to investors because of the limits on stock and shareholders, though. C corporations, also known as C corps, are the most common type of corporations. Owners and shareholders are taxed separately from the business, which creates double taxation. But it limits the business liability of the owners and shareholders. Advantages come from the ease of raising capital, the ability to exist in perpetuity, limited liability for the owners, and attractiveness to the investors. Disadvantages stem from its double taxation and additional legal requirements such as the establishment of a board of directors. Limited liability corporations, often referred to as LLCs, are a newer form of business entity that blends the legal characteristics of a partnership and a corporation. Owners or members, as they're called in LLCs, are shielded from the business's liability, but the LLC is treated like a non-corporate business for tax purposes. So the advantages stem from protection from liability and double taxation, but the disadvantages are that they're not as attractive to investors and the paperwork can be much more expensive to file. Now, that's a lot of information to take in, so you're probably wondering why you might pick one entity over the other. Well, you might pick the sole proprietorship or partnership due to the ease of forming those businesses, the few legal requirements attached to those entities, and because you aren't planning to grow the business very large. And you might pick an LLC to protect yourself from liability issues with the two previously mentioned entities, but you'll still be able to avoid the complexities and double taxation of a traditional corporation. You might pick an S corp for similar reasons. Now, you might pick a C corporation if you want the opportunity and ability to grow into a large multinational organization with the potential for investments and raising large capital. Now, there's a few other considerations I would like to point out to you before we close. Becoming an LLC or a corporation requires filing paperwork in your state of business with the filing fees, and those filing fees can vary greatly depending on your state and the business entity. I would encourage you to not let those filing fees too strongly encourage your decision over which entity to form your business as you could save much more in taxation by depending on what entity you file than those filing fees. But of course, consult an attorney before making any final decisions. And as a point to note, it is possible to convert from one entity into another, but it can be very complex, and so you would want to avoid that if possible. So choose wisely when you choose your business entity type. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you've learned something useful. I'll include some resources and citations at the end of the video if you would like to do some further research. And of course, all of the information contained in this video is not intended to be legal advice specific to your situation. Please consult an attorney who specializes in your area and your type of business so that you can make the best legal decisions for your business. Thank you!